A few acknowledgements. I want to thank the Wheeler Taft Abbott Senior Library for hosting us. Along that note, they are staying until we're gone, so we will be asking people to leave pretty quickly at 7 o'clock, but our candidates will be hanging out in the parking lot if you want to talk to them, so that's the plan. Don't hang around here, go out there. And I also want to acknowledge that the region represented by the League of Women Voters of Southern Arizona is on the lands and territories of indigenous people. There are 22 tribes, federally recognized tribes in Arizona, with a history and culture of stewarding this land, and we respect that. Assisting us this evening are our timekeepers, who have changed their names on me, Connie DeLarge and Francis Miller, and our question collectors, who are rotating around, Carolyn Lockwood, and who else is doing questions? Okay. So Chris Geimer's here. And neither our question collectors nor I live in Marana, so we are not voting on this primary and consider ourselves neutral parties. So the format for this forum consists of asking the candidates your questions. So you probably noticed a pencil and an index card on your chair, and we want you to write legibly your questions on the cards and raise your hand, and someone will come and pick them up and deliver them to our question sorters. And the reason they're not coming directly to me is that the sorters are going to make sure that we get a diversity of questions and we're not asking the same thing over and over again. A couple of tips: one idea, preferably one sentence per question, and keep in mind that all of the candidates are going to answer all of the questions, so you don't want to target a specific candidate with your question. And we're pretty sure we won't be able to get to every question, and that's just a time constraint. So all of the candidates running for town council were invited to this forum, and we're very pleased to welcome those who responded here tonight, and we thank you all for choosing to run for public service. So we have 5 candidates, starting closest to me: Jackie Craig, Jackie McGuire, Teri Murphy, Julie Prince, and Sue Ritz. By participating in this forum, they have agreed to abide by our rules, and we ask all of you to respect them as well. So a little rundown on the rules. First and most important, maintain a civil, nonpartisan atmosphere. This is a forum. It is not a rally or a campaign event, so please do not clap, yell, cheer, boo, or create any noise or hold up any signs during the forum, and we will applaud everyone at the end. And anyone who can't abide by that policy will be asked to leave the room. Along the same lines, this is not a debate, so we ask our candidates to respond directly to the question, not to what the other candidates say or have done. We want to hear what each of you think about the issues, not what you think about each other. By drawing a contrast, you will therefore enable the voters to compare your different positions. Next, for everyone in the room, please mute your phones and put them away. Do not record or take any pictures of this part of the forum. This has gotten us in trouble in the past, and we really are serious about it. If we see your phone out, we will ask you to put it away, we will confiscate it, or we will ask you to leave if those options don't work. So that's a big deal. The League is live streaming this event on Facebook and recording it, so if any of you want to revisit it, it will be on the League's YouTube video channel, and you can watch the whole thing or whatever parts you want. Finally, the candidates will have an equal amount of time to answer each question. So our timekeepers up front will be holding up signs to tell the speaker how much time they have left to respond. You get a 30-second warning and then a stop sign. And if you keep talking after the stop sign, I will cut you off. So each candidate will have 90 seconds to introduce themselves and their platform, and then 90 seconds to respond to each question, and 90 seconds for concluding remarks at the end. So it's easy to remember that. And we will rotate who responds first for each question. So let's begin, and we'll start with opening remarks. I'm going in reverse alphabetical order because I'm a W and I am always last. So Sue Ritz is going to go first. You have 90 seconds.
Hi everybody, I'm Sue Ritz. I spent my life, most of my life, doing 2 jobs. at the same time. I was in the Army National Guard for 25 years, and I'm a registered professional engineer in the mining industry. I ran for office because basically the guardsman in me said, it's time to serve again. When you swear the oath to the Constitution, you understand that the oath never ends. So service is something I can no longer do in uniform, so I chose to do it for you. I have very good engineering skills. I spent a lifetime in the mining industry, and I'm one of the first female underground coal miners. So I know how to work. I've talked to a lot of people. I've listened to you. And the most important thing I hear from the folks in the town of Marana is how much they want to be heard and how much they need to be heard by the people on the council. So I'm hoping to fulfill that duty for you by running for this position. Thank you very much.
Okay, Julie?
Hello, my name is Julie Prince. I've lived in Marana for 23 years. I was on the Tucson-Pima County Bicycle Advisory Committee. Mayor Honea appointed me along with the council at that time. I served my 2-year term. I was a reporter for years, all over the country, anchor reporter. I've covered all kinds of governmental meetings. I've sat through more meetings than I could care to count, believe me. I've learned a lot, and I've been going to the council meetings and the public hearings, and I got very concerned. It just seemed like folks weren't being listened to, and it appeared to me there'd be some abuses of the citizens online and in person, and that I've never seen that before anywhere across the country, and it just didn't seem right to me, and I just thought I could do something here. I've got a lot of different experiences in my background, business. I run my own businesses. I've worked at the hospital. I've done all kinds of things. So a wide variety of experiences, and I'm here to offer them to you all to serve you.
Thank you, Julie. And Teri?
Hello, you guys. My name is Teri Murphy, and I have lived in Marana for 31 years, and I chose to live in Marana because I think it's a great community. I have done a lot of different things in my lifetime. For 31 years, I have worked at different adventures, but the one thing that I did, I worked for a public, I worked for private, and I've also owned my own business, so I'm really good with business skills. I have volunteered a lot for the town of Marana for 30 years. I believe that if you want to be a part of a community, you've got to get involved with the community. So I have volunteered for several different things, from Founders Day to announcing the parades to doing the Fall Festival. I think my biggest strength is I'm a really good listener, and I think that you have to be able to listen, because you got to take your own personal feelings away sometimes and put the 60,000 residents that live in our community, they need to come first. And so I think that it's really important that we all engage and that people get active. And I will tell you this, there's a lot of ways that people need to get more active. There is an app that people need to go to on Town of Marana and Talk of the Town. Very good sources. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Teri. Teri, yes. Jackie McGuire next.
Hey everybody, I'm Jackie McGuire. I moved to Marana in 2011. Had to leave for a couple years for work and then came back in 2021. I have 3 kids in Marana School District. I've done about a million things over the course of my life. I'm somebody who, my hobby is hobbies, and I've had a lot of careers. I spent the first 15 years of my career in finance as a registered investment advisor, first for individuals and then for CFOs. Spent some time in tech. I was a CEO, a CFO, and then I did a data science boot camp and became a data scientist, which led me into cybersecurity. So for the last several years, I've been a research analyst, so I get paid to research different topics, and I've covered cybersecurity, AI, and data centers primarily. And now I'm a senior director at a publicly traded cybersecurity company. So my background is pretty diverse, and what got me involved initially was the data center coming to Marana, but then, after, I think, like Julie, after getting involved and kind of seeing the way people were...
Thank you, Jackie.
Oh, sorry. Seeing the way people were not...
Okay, we're done. When the
I think she held the wrong side.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I saw this. No, you're not.
I was like, I'm not that long-winded. That's okay. All right, 30 seconds. All right, so yeah, I think like Julie, I started showing up at town council meetings and kind of feeling like people were not being heard, and then also feeling like, government functions best when it's the most representative of the people and when it is governing as close to the people as possible. So many residents asked me to run for town council, and I resisted for quite some time, but then it became apparent that, we needed new leadership, and the town is growing rapidly, and we need people who understand the future. So I'm here.
Thank you. And
that's okay.
Jackie Craig.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jackie Craig. I'm running as a write-in candidate because I had no intention of running for office. But then I was a Marana Town Council member from 2020 to 2024, and I did not run for re-election due to family reasons. In the run-up to this election, let's just say I strongly disagreed with the campaigning and tactics of the three challengers, and I felt I had to enter the race. I've lived in Marana for 13 years. I moved back to Marana. I was born in Tucson. Moved back to Marana upon retirement from the U.S. Diplomatic Service, and I live in the highlands of Dove Mountain with my husband. I'm running to continue the laser focus the town has on providing a great quality of life to our residents. That's solid infrastructure, great public safety, fantastic recreation, and that's why people buy houses in Marana, and I want to continue that. My special area of focus is preserving wildlife corridors as we grow, and smart growth. And by smart growth, I don't mean no growth. I started as a no growth person, but I've come to understand that what people want is connectivity. They want we need dense urban centers that have, so dense they have the restaurants, the retail, the jobs, pedestrian, cycling connectivity, and we have such a great example of that coming to this town. I'm so excited, the downtown development, it will be great. So hopefully these places are so attractive that they stop suburban sprawl, and admittedly that's my real design.
Okay, thank you, Jackie. So now we're going to start with the first question, and I'm going to start with Julie. Let's get right to the meat here. What do you think about the proposed data center, and what are your arguments for or against, however your position is?
I think there's a lot of questions for a facility that huge, 600 acres. I think it's kind of in the infancy stage, all of the data centers. I'd like to see the town of Marana look into it more and kind of put the brakes on it. Not say no, but just at this point, but get some more information, because there's a lot of information out there and it's hard to tell. I'm not the expert. Jackie McGuire is actually the expert on data centers, but from what I understand, I haven't heard anything good about it. Yes, construction jobs in the beginning, plenty of construction jobs in the beginning, but then only about 200 people full-time, and those folks won't even be from this area because they'll have to have special skills. So I don't see a lot of benefit for the town of Marana from that project, and I'd like to see more input and just slow it down a little bit. Let's take a look at it and go from there.
Thank you. Teri.
Talk a little bit about data centers. Okay, this is a very important issue because there is a lot going on. I want to let everyone know that Marana did do due diligence, and they did send out information about data centers. They did in 2025, the information was out there. They did an ordinance. That ordinance is to protect the town of Marana, which means none of our water can be used. They have to bring in their own power. Is there questions about data centers? Absolutely. Is it something that, the one thing about the ordinance that people need to keep in mind is it was protecting people. It's in an area that other people, there's not anyone near it. A mile and a half is the closest resident. I think that people use data centers. I think there's a lot more research that we need to do, but I'm telling you, the town did a really good job of putting together an ordinance. They sent out 6 between the ordinance and all of the information about the data center. There was 6 meetings that were and people were invited to, as well as 2 different forums that you got to come and speak to us at the council. So I just want to say that, I'm with you guys. I think that there's a lot of research that needs to be done, but at the same time that we need to, what it does for fire, police, and our community is kind of something that we really need to look at as well.
Thank you. Jackie McGuire.
So obviously, this is what brought me into this council race. Going back 15 years, my husband and I owned a mechanical contractor that did work for HVAC for commercial purposes, including in data centers at that time. Regular data centers are about 5 to 25 megawatts, so those are the data centers that the town visited, both in their field trip to Phoenix as well as when they wrote the ordinance. The data center we're talking about is 1,100 to 1,500 megawatts, so roughly 30 to 50 times the size. There are currently only 4 of those data centers anywhere close to that capacity actually running in the U.S., in Texas, in Memphis, and then one in Virginia. And so I had a couple primary concerns about this data center. Number one is who is funding it. Blue Owl is a private equity company who has been bleeding cash. Their stock price is down 60%. They're involved in a class action lawsuit with their investors for materially misrepresenting their financial condition. They were forced to freeze redemptions on most of their private equity funds because they are out of cash. Their investors are currently trying to pull 40% of their cash out of their funds. That was the primary concern. Secondarily, the town's ordinance is completely insufficient. I don't think that's a result of malice. I think it's just a lack of expertise. I would love to see a significantly stronger ordinance that addresses the problems that hyperscale data centers represent, not normal data centers. And I would love to see completion bonds and decommissioning bonds, because I strongly believe that this private equity company is not going to survive past the next 2 years.
Thank you. Jackie Craig.
I think that the problems that people have heard about data centers have been solved in this case. This data center is not going to use a lot of water. It's a recirculating system. The state of Arizona has said they will not allow any big user of electricity, including data centers, to cause the rates of residents to go up. The data centers have to pay all the costs of connecting to the grid. The noise ordinance will restrict it to 50 decibels, and there's this huge perimeter around the data center, which is in the middle of nowhere and surrounded by a lot of landscaping. So these things that people worry about when they ask me about data centers have been solved. The good side of the data center, and I see where the town council voted to approve it. Yes, there'll be 4,000 construction jobs, and everybody says those are just temporary, but that's like 6 to 8 years of construction. That's a long time. And then there'll be 400 regular jobs. And when people say, oh, data centers don't create jobs, again, this is a hyper data center, and those data centers do have about 400 people, and they are not just specialized. They're electricians, plumbers, people, jobs to this community. Plus, that will bring in other businesses, high-tech businesses, to provide jobs. So yes, I definitely understand why the Marana Town Council voted for this data center. I think it can do a lot of good for the community.
Thank you. And Sue.
Hyperscale data center development is the most bipartisan issue since beer. I am an engineer. I've been a process engineer in the mining industry a long time, and I can tell you a lot about regulations in the mining industry. And hyperscale data centers have no regulatory structure. There is no environmental impact statement. There is no environmental assessment. There are a lot of very dangerous chemicals associated with the cooling loops. And yes, there is a lot of water associated with 1,500 megawatts of power that has to be provided. The problem is that this isn't the only one. There are multiple of these being put in southern Arizona as we speak. So what is the effect on the grid? Well, TEP has an integrated resource plan in 2023 that didn't even mention data centers. In 2023, they were more interested in electric cars. So data centers have not been planned for. What does that mean? TEP and TRICO are going to have to go out to the western grid to buy electricity off the grid. What does that mean for you? You're going to compete with everybody on the western grid, from Oregon all the way down to Arizona. Your electric bills are not guaranteed at this point.
Okay. Thank you, Sue. Next question is, in general, what do you think about growth? Are you more in favor of slow growth or growth to create jobs? And we're starting with Teri on this one.
I am for growth that creates jobs. The good news about Marana is we have 123 miles and only 35% of our land is developed. And I think with that gives an opportunity for us to have growth, and I think that growth is important. I'd like to see our community keep offering people to come here to work. Marana's a great place to live. And we need people to have the opportunity to be able to work in our community as well. So I think it's really important that we balance it out and that we have not only a great place to live, we have work. We are rated number 3, and there's a reason that we're rated number 3 is because we think above and beyond, and we have done a great job in our community making sure that we have responsible growth. And I think that is something that will continue, and I think that it is something that we need to look forward to and prevent these, or have these jobs where our families can stay here and live in our communities for years to come. We don't want something that's just temporary. We want businesses that are sustainable, that provide good income, and that people don't have to travel back and forth to live in our community.
Okay. Jackie McGuire.
I am absolutely not anti-growth. So most of my career I have spent helping people grow their portfolios, helping businesses grow their business. The last year I was in banking, I literally myself brought $1 billion with a B dollars into the bank that I was at, helping startups grow their businesses. What I am against is disproportionate growth. And what that looks like is building thousands of houses without investing in the infrastructure that leads to those houses, without investing in employment, without investing in post-secondary education and training opportunities. So what I think is important in Marana is that as we are growing, there's been this kind of philosophy that growth should pay for growth, and unfortunately that is not what actually happens. When you put thousands of houses in and then address the roads after that, hoping that the construction and impact tax will pay for those houses, you end up deterring businesses from being built alongside those houses, which is why if you look at Tangerine, it took so long after Gladden Farms was built to actually get businesses to Tangerine, because it took until that infrastructure was there. The mayor and Sue Ritz and I were at the Metropolitan Piedmont Alliance, and that was something that we heard from many of the commercial real estate developers and businesses down there, is the way Marana is growing, where the infrastructure comes second, is not something businesses want to deal with, because one, they know that the infrastructure is not there, and then they know that when we finally have to go back and build it, it's going to disrupt any business that you have put in there. So I think that Marana should grow without encroaching on natural desert, and I think it needs to grow employment alongside residential and commercial development to create a sustainable economy.
Thank you, Jackie. And Jackie Craig.
Like I said in my introductory statement, I'm a big proponent of growing from the core out. I think we need to focus on growing from where already there's dense housing, density, because density is what brings what people want, the restaurants, the retail, and we do absolutely need to leave space for jobs, for industry. I think we have let a little bit too much of the land go to housing, and we need to make sure that we save land so that there are places for places of employment, absolutely. And I'm a big proponent of mixed-use development, where you have all in one place. You have hotels, condos, office buildings, parks, entertainment areas, restaurant, retail, all in one place. With connectivity, pedestrian, bicycling, and that saves a lot of road use, road creation. It makes people happy, and hopefully, as I said before, stops this suburban sprawl eating up our desert.
Thank you. Sue.
Yeah, when I talk to people at the doors, and I think at this point in time I've knocked on about 9,000 doors. When I talk to people at the doors, they feel like the growth in Marana is very unbalanced. So a lot of housing, but not a lot of everything else. So we're starting to see a lot of dense traffic in areas like Tangerine, like Cortero Farms, that probably should have been thought of before they started approving endless housing developments. And that is one of the things that I hear over and over again. What about the infrastructure? What about the growth? And the fact that we see now yet another very large development right along Tangerine and I-10 is really very distressing for a lot of people. They see a lot of scrubbed and grubbed land. They see dead saguaros on the side of the road. and they're not happy with what they see. So I'm not anti-development. I would like the development to be more balanced.
Thank you. And Julie?
I agree with what Sue said. Excuse me, I went on a lot of those door knocking opportunities as well. Sue has done way more than I have. I'd like to see it more planned. It just seems kind of willy-nilly, and let's do a housing development here, and and then there's one grocery store up at Gladden Farms, and Dove Mountain has one access in and out. God forbid there's a fire up there. I covered the Mount Lemon fire back, Aspen fire, and thank God hardly anybody lived up there, because they'd be fighting with the fire people and emergency people. But I just think more planning needs to go in. Continental Ranch is where I've lived for 23 years, and years ago, Charles Keating Jr., the notorious Charles Keating Jr., actually planned and developed that, and he actually did a very good job because he put in the infrastructure, he put in the utilities, he planned. And if you notice, it's got a lot nearby, like a Walgreens in the middle of it and whatnot. And I'd like to see more of that. Gladden Farms is approaching that, but they need more development. And I just think it needs to be planned more and talked about and hear from people what they want. We heard a lot of people, like Sue said, say that it's overdeveloped and what's all the, plowed down desert out there along Twin Peaks and behind my house over there in Turquoise Moon Estate. So.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll start with Jackie McGuire. How do you feel about ICE detention centers in Marana, and what would you propose to do to encourage or discourage them, however you feel?
Yeah, I think one of the things for me that's been important in talking to residents in Marana is obviously immigration is a very divisive thing, right? It generally falls along party lines, but town council is a nonpartisan position, and there's a reason for that, in that I would have to be a town council member for everybody in Marana, regardless of whether I agree with their politics or not. So for me, the issue comes down to not an ICE detention facility, but a private prison in general. And the question needs to be, do we want a private prison in Marana? And we have data to tell us whether we want a private prison in Marana. Every study that has ever been done shows that private prisons are more expensive, less effective. It's often easier to get drugs in a private prison than it is on the street because guards are smuggling those and cell phones in. We know that MTC is not a great employer. They have been sued over and over and over for not paying overtime, for violating employee rights. So what I would propose is that we need to ask the community to set aside immigration politics, because we know we're not going to agree on that, and decide, do we want a private prison in Marana? And if the answer is no, then we need to work with MTC to understand what other options there are. It's a large company, and I have to credit Sue with some of this because she's done quite a bit of research here. There are other options for that facility, and I think if it's true that no contract has been signed, we really need to understand what the implications of having this facility here are and what the other options would be.
Thank you. Jackie Craig.
Well, there has been a prison in Marana for, 20 years. It's been a long time. It's been a state prison, and then it was sold, and it was privately owned, and it is now privately owned, and it's zoned as a prison. So that private owner has decided that he wants to contract with the federal government for an ICE detention center. I wish that was not so. I wish that they had not decided that. I don't like the way that ICE detention centers are run under this current administration. But that's the fact, and that zoning nothing is going to come before the town. It's already zoned as a prison. So I guess that's just a fact. It's there. There's nothing the town can do about it.
Okay. Sue.
Yeah, my understanding is MTC has not yet signed the contract. So that means there's an opportunity for us to go back to them and say, look, you've got other business units here. You've got Job Corps, you've got alcohol rehabilitation units. And these things are much more beneficial to the community than a perhaps temporary ICE detention center. This is such a divisive issue at the doors. You really see people splitting along ideological lines. And as Jackie was saying, What we really want to do is appeal to the long-term prospects for that facility. Do we want to have something that benefits the town, or do we want to have something that is a temporary, could have its funding jerked in 2 years kind of facility? I think it's much better to go back to them and say, look, we'll not only help you in determining what to do with that facility, but we'll help you actually with its long-term outcome so that it benefits everyone.
Thank you. Julie?
I think MTC has a bad reputation. If you guys remember the Kingman riots back in 2015, that was national news, the big riots, and then about 5 years before that, they had 3 murderous prisoners break out and murder more people. So they have a bad reputation, and they currently have a bad reputation as far as treating their employees. And private prisons, they make money on how many people they hold. That's how they contract. So, and they also, last I heard, or what I researched, is they sued the state of Arizona because they didn't give them enough prisoners. So I think there's a lot of liability there. I think there needs to be a lot of information. I'd like to see some public hearings and have Department of Homeland Security come down and MTC come down and educate people, because like they have, my colleagues here have said, there's a lot of divisiveness about this and a lot of questions, a lot of concern, and it would be nice to get some more information from the horse's mouth. You hear one thing from MTC and then you hear something else from DHS. And I know how these federal government contracts work, and we're not going to see anything final until we see the final contract, and that is of concern.
First of all, nobody wants anything that divides the town, and so people don't want to see an ICE detention center by any way, shape, or form. MTC has been there for a long time. They have owned that facility for a long time. 20 years ago, I can remember going out and volunteering for events, and they would send people over there to help us. I know that the town has strongly expressed that we do not want an ICE detention center, that we'd much rather see a different type of detention center where we could actually even utilize the people to help us in our town, to help us clean, do different things like that. And so I think that we've been fortunate because our experience with them hasn't been that bad. I completely have read everything these guys are talking about, and I understand exactly where they're coming from. As far as changing anything that they do, if they come to the town council and ask to change anything from having more bedding other than 500 to 700, if they want 1,000 to 1,200, which we read in the paper somewhere, they would have to come and seek that approval through the town council. But anything else that they have right now, unfortunately, our hands are tied because we don't have the authority over them. It's been a prison, and so hopefully we could keep getting educated on it. They'll keep communicating with us, and they have agreed to let a committee go in there and check on the different things that they're doing. And I think that's extremely important, because we've been very fortunate that a lot of our council members in the past have been able to go to the facilities, help, and volunteer and educate. So I think that's really important.
Thank you. Okay, now starting with Jackie Craig. If you're elected, how would you uphold the ethical standards of the council and deal with conflicts of interest?
Well, I would fully follow the code of ethics that is standing for the town council. If there was ever an issue of which I had some kind of financial interest or family or nepotism or anything like that, you have to recuse yourself of any kind of the decision making. I think it's best to leave the dais in that case. I don't know. I can't even think of a situation where I would be ethically challenged, but I would fully comply with any ethical requirements.
Okay, thank you. Sue?
Yeah, the problem right now is that the code of ethics is only enforceable by the town council. So what I would do first is I would review how to make an ethical standard that would have a complete compliance sequence to it. So if someone in the town makes a complaint, that goes to somebody in the town that could then look through the complaint, register that complaint, and then take it to a higher authority if they feel like that complaint had some legs. Then they would have to go to an outside entity. So currently, the town of Marana Police Department has an agreement with the town of Sahuarita and the town of Oro Valley to adjudicate and review any shooting incidents. Anything that happens with the Marana PD is not investigated by the Marana PD. So that should be the same thing with an ethics code for the town of Marana. If there are problems and complaints, there should be a mechanism, and then somebody outside the town should check that and make sure that people are complying with the ethics code, and if they're not, there should be penalties.
Thank you. Julie?
I agree with everything Sue said there. I think I've never seen an ethics code like this. We had to work and appear and complain about the nepotism word that was used in the ethics code that was trying to be added to it, and it was removed. It doesn't have any teeth in it, and yeah, I think it would be great to set up an agreement with Oro Valley or so, and we reciprocate. We go over their ethics complaints, and they go over ours, and follow the code of conduct and the things that would happen to that person. It's one of the things that bothers me the most as a reporter, the transparency, the lack of it. There's just so much, I'm trying to figure out a nice way to say it. What I feel is a lot of nepotism, a lot of favoritism, a lot of ethical problems that I've never seen on other governmental agencies, and a lot of it is blatant. And I think, yeah, that's one of the first things I think we need to take a look at and put some teeth into it, because like Sue said, right now, anybody can do anything, but they're not going to report each other. So.
Okay. Teri?
Well, first of all, you'll never see Teri Murphy ever become unethical, because it's not in my DNA. I believe that everyone needs to be respectful to everybody, from people in the audience to people that are behind the dais. So I think that's really important. I think there should be rules and regulations, and I think people ought to follow them, definitely. I get a piece of everything that everybody's saying here. I'm kind of like Jackie. I'm like, I can't even think of anything that I would ever do. And I do know that we have people that have to recuse themselves. You know, in Marana, it's been around for a very long time, and a lot of families have owned property in Marana. A lot of people have been invested in our town. They love it so much. They're generations and generations of people. So sometimes they do have to recuse themselves. I haven't seen somebody not recuse themselves when they're supposed to. I have seen people on both sides maybe not be as respectful as they need to be. So I think, yes, that we need to make sure that we follow the code of conduct. I think that we need to be accountable. As long as you can look in the mirror knowing that you have made the right decisions and you're doing the right things, I think that those are extremely important. But I mean, all we have is our reputation, and we need to stand by that, and we need to stand by what makes us a better town, what makes us stand out, and what makes us have better people. And so we need to be respectful on all sides and follow the rules and regulations.
Thank you. And Jackie?
Yeah. There are very few things in the world, maybe my children in the audience, that matter more to me than my integrity. And as someone who has been on the receiving end of violations of the town's code of ethics that tells council members that they should engage with the public respectfully and avoid personal attacks, I reached out to the town attorney and asked what the process was for filing a complaint for that, to try to get it to stop. Because after months of emails to the council, to the mayor, it did not stop, and I was told that there is no actual process for the public to make a complaint about anyone on the town council. The only way to enforce the town council's code of ethics is for someone else on the town council to motion to hold one of their colleagues accountable, and that thus far has not happened. And so I think one of the first things that needs to happen, in addition to putting some teeth and some impartiality into the enforcement of the code of ethics, is to create a channel through which Sue create a channel through which the public has some mechanism to try to achieve a level of accountability. I said this at a town council meeting, and I will say it again. There is a very, very not thin line between legal and ethical. And just because something is legal does not mean it is ethical. And if you run for elected office, you are signing up to be held to a standard that is higher than just what is legal.
Thank you. Okay, so now we're back to starting with Sue. What specific assets do you possess that qualifies you to be the best choice to address the issues affecting the town of Marana?
Well, I am an engineer. And I have spent about 30-plus years in the mining industry as a process engineer. Now, a process engineer is somebody who, in simple terms, basically does a mass balance. So I balance out things like energy use, materials use, chemicals. I understand the technical details of a lot of these projects that are going to be coming to Marana, especially projects like data centers. I also understand regulations because the mining industry itself is a strongly regulated industry. It has to follow a lot of state rules and regulations, environmental regulations, safety codes, and so forth. I'm also a veteran. And being a veteran means that I have had leadership skills that have been recognized by the United States Army because I retired as a Master Sergeant. And if you wonder what a Master Sergeant does, I don't need the microphone.
We know.
Okay. Julie. Seriously? Julie, tell us about yourself.
I don't know how to follow that up. That's great. She's awesome. What qualifies me? I've been to a lot of public meetings, and I have a lot of different life experiences and business experiences that are unusual. I worked at a hospital system here in the Tucson area for years. I understand healthcare. Boy, that's a hard question to answer. What qualifies me? Just a lot of experiences, and I care, and I have the time, and I'm a hard worker. I'm a granddaughter of a farmer, and I know what hard work is. I know where I came from, and I think it's a job. We're applying for a job, and a job requires a lot of work. This isn't something where you show up and, oh, look at the agenda. Let's take a look, see what's on the agenda tonight. You should know what's on the agenda. You should have feelers out in the community and know when the ICE facility may house 1,300 residents. You shouldn't hear that off the news and be like, oh my God. You should have those interactions and those relationships with people, in my opinion. That's part of the work. That's part of the work you have to do. So I think I'd have a lot to learn, no doubt. But I think I also have a lot of brains and a lot of various experiences that I think would benefit and help serve. Also a poll worker for years and years, so I've taken the oath of office over and over. So I also stand by that.
All right, Teri.
First of all, because I absolutely love the town of Marana. I love everything about it. I love the people. I've had a very diverse background as far as working. I have worked for a national sponsored professional rodeo, traveling all over the country, negotiating contracts, making sure things were legal and done properly, especially when you're dealing with any kind of alcoholic beverage. I have worked for the Nevada State Fair, so I've dealt with vendors. I have also worked for the Marana Mortuary and Cemetery, which made me learn a little bit more about what was important to people. You're negotiating agreements for someone for the rest of their lives, so it's very trying, and there's a lot to it. I think that owning your own business, I've definitely learned a lot about business. You learn budgeting, you learn finances, you learn how to keep people engaged, how to listen to people, and how to respect people. The people that work for you become your family. They're not just workers. And I think those things are really important, especially being on the council. I know right now that we have a couple issues, but there's more than just detention centers. There is more than just ICE facilities. There is running a community that makes things better for people, from baseball fields to parks to making sure that the growth is correctly. I mean, infrastructure is so important in Marana. We need more infrastructure. We know that more than anyone. But there's a process that is very eye-opening that people don't realize. People talk about Tangerine. Do you know that was one of the oldest plans that we have? And a lot of people don't know that, and I think that's really important that you educate yourself on some of that stuff too.
Okay, Jackie, you're up.
I was homeless when I was 19. And the reason I say that is that I think one of the biggest things that you need in a leader is somebody who has lived many lives and can identify with many people. I make a very good living for myself. My husband, very similar situation, grew up in pretty extreme poverty and also is kind of a self-made man. I have been a CEO, a CFO. I have started multiple successful businesses, including one right here in Marana that was started out of our backyard and expanded into Tucson. One of the things that I think is a gift that I've realized that I have is the ability to explain really complex things in an easy to understand way. And I think that's why people gravitated towards me when the data center issue came up, is that I could explain the complex engineering, the economics, all of those pieces of it in a way that they could understand. And I think one of the measures of a successful government is the level of civic engagement that you get, the number of people who want to show up at town council meetings, the number of people who want to engage with you. And the more you can do to explain things in a way people understand, they're not always going to agree with you, but I think they'll feel like they were at least informed and part of the process. My degree is in economics and finance. I have been a fiduciary, and then I also have been a data scientist. So I am really, really good with money. I'm good with policy. I am really good with data and using data to make good decisions. And then I am also really good at, I can talk to just about anybody. I might be wacky, but I am also somebody that if given the chance, I can have a civil conversation with almost anyone.
Okay, and Jackie Craig.
In my job in the diplomatic service, I ran the management operations of an embassy. So I've just made it function, you know, the human resources, procurement, motor pool, housing, all the computer infrastructure. And yet there was an ambassador setting the policy saying, okay, Jackie, we're going to we want to make sure we are going to move the office buildings over here, so make that happen. And so it's kind of like the town council. I'm not sure how many people realize that the council members set the policy, the mayor and council members, but it's actually the town manager and the staff who run the town. So the council setting the policy and the town is implementing it. And that's a delicate balance. So it's like the opposite. I was running the embassy and the ambassador was telling me what he wanted, what his goal was. So I understand the way the town works really well, and you have to work as a team. As the council members, you have to respect the staff expertise, and the staff has to believe that you have their back. And you have to, the town manager, he kind of runs the town and runs the meetings and everything, but the council has to set the policy. I understand how that works from my job, and I think I did a really good job at it when I was a council member. So that is what I would bring to the town.
Thank you. All right, so we're getting a little bit close on time. I would really like to squeeze in one more question. Would you guys be up for 1 minute answers for one more question? And sure. Timers, are you prepared for that? Okay. In your first 100 days of office, what are 3 things that you want to accomplish? And we'll start with Julie.
Oh boy. I'd like us to look at the ethics code. I would like us to review the planning commission's resumes and their qualifications. I would like us to look over the budget with a fine-tooth comb, do a lot of studying and reading, listening to people, hold a couple of town council or town halls and hear from people, meet with people. What would you like? What is your priority? Our priorities may not align with what the citizens want, so we want to do that. That's pretty much it. A lot of learning would be involved. A lot of reading and studying and asking questions and going around and meeting people and that type of thing. So,
thank you, Teri. 3 things.
I think the most important is to get the community to engage. And I think that they're right when they say that we need to get more people engaged, and that is by getting people to follow our apps, to get on Talk of the Town, to do different things like that. I think that's important that you learn more. I mean, there's a lot to it. There's a lot of different things that people don't know about until you serve on that council, things that need to be approved that are there. I think the budget, they've done a really good job with the budget. I've researched that budget and looked over it and over it. I mean, the main thing is getting with the town and keeping them engaged on what we're doing and just keeping things focused. And but getting into the meat is the most important thing to do, to keep focusing on the things that are important, the infrastructure for our town as well as the budgets.
Thank you, Jackie.
I think one of the first things I'd like to do is find out how citizens want to be informed about what's going on in the town and be able to meet them where they're at with the information they want in the format they want it, whether that be through social media, through text message, through email. Number two is the budget. I have serious concerns about the town's tax base and the fact that it's concentrated in construction tax and impact fees and TPT, all three of which will plummet in any type of economic downturn. And when I stress tested the budget, the results weren't great. So I would love to dig deeper into the budget and find out what options the town has for diversifying its tax base and trying to recession-proof it to the extent that any municipality can survive a recession. And then, number three, I think really, I know what I don't know, right? I have lots of big ideas, but there are realities of how a town government functions. And so I think there will be a pretty steep learning curve in understanding what the roles of various aspects of town staff are and how they interact. And I'm sure I'm going to get a great lesson in open meeting laws.
Thank you. Jackie Craig.
Well, I'm not sure anybody's noticed, but we're having a little issue with the Colorado River. And so that would be something I'd really want to look into. I know the town has done a lot, bringing new sources of water into the town. I'd like to see some more focus on conservation. I know that when housing, the use of water from housing is a drop in the bucket compared to agriculture, but I still think for the town of Marana, I would like to see some serious conservation methods put into effect. That would be my number one thing. Number two, I want to see that downtown development get started. I want that as soon as possible so we can have a real downtown. Sorry, I can only come up with two.
Sue.
Yeah, in my first 100 days, I'm going to do a lot of reading and studying. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hold office hours, and I'm going to talk to a lot of people. I'm going to go out to the community like I have been doing for the last 4 months and talk to people. If I have to arrange some small gatherings like this to get some feedback, that's what I'm going to do. Because in the military, they teach you how to communicate. It's 4 parts: the sender, the receiver, the message, and feedback. And right now, feedback is something that town expects you to do. I expect to get it from you, not the other way around.
Okay, thank you. Good job on the 1 minute. So, closing remarks. We're back to 90 seconds for these, and we'll start with Teri.
First of all, I'd just like to say I love Marana and I love everything about it, and I really want to serve our council because I think I have a lot to give. I'm extremely knowledgeable when it comes to things that happen in our town because I've been here long enough, volunteered, and I've actually walked the streets of Marana, meaning that I have put in that extra effort to make sure things are taken care of. I think there's a lot of issues that are facing us. I mean, I think that we do need to figure out a way to get the community to engage more because we get like 3,000 people that are responding on things that should be really, really important to us. And there's 45,000 people that are over the age of 18 that should have a say what's happening in our community. When you love a town as much as I do, you're willing to do whatever it takes to make sure that we constantly succeed. And I believe that we've got a lot of great things happening. I mean, it is not by just all of a sudden we just became one of the top 3 places to live. That's something that's work that people have worked extremely hard on. And I think that we need to keep people engaged in different situations like that. We need to make people know exactly what's going on. And I think that like I said, I have a lot to give. I've ran a lot of businesses, done a lot of things, and I think that I can bring a lot to the table.
Thank you. Jackie.
This was not something that was on my bingo card for life, but one of the things that I have learned in the last several months doing this is that Marana is full of an incredibly diverse array of overwhelmingly amazing people. I moved here because I love the desert, I love the wildlife, I love that I can see the stars in my backyard. And I think for me, one of the biggest reasons that I have stuck in this through the insanely crazy campaign that it's been, through having my face appear in my neighbors' mailboxes, text messages sent about me, through being labeled wacky, is that I deeply care. I really, really do. And I have 3 kids in Marana School District. I would love for this town to be a place where when they graduate, they are able to get education, they are able to get jobs that pay a living wage, they are able to afford to buy a house, and that they want to stay in this town. And I think there are many, many things going in the right direction. And I know it's been depicted that, we are the slate of no, and that we are against everything. And no, and that's not true. The vast majority of things are going in the right direction in Marana. And I think that with a more diverse skill set in leadership, and with an eye on the future and the jobs people are going to need in the future, the infrastructure, the decisions we're going to have to make, I think we can continue to make this the great place that we all moved here for.
Thank you. Jackie Craig.
First, before I forget, I want to tell you how to vote for me if you want to vote for me, since I'm a write-in candidate. My name is not on the ballot. So when you go through your ballot, the Marana Council members are at the end, and then underneath are 3 lines. They say write-in candidate, and they each have a little oval in front of them. So if you want to vote for me, you have to write my name, Jackie Craig, and fill in the oval. You have to do both things or it doesn't count. You've heard a lot about the data center tonight. I know it's a big issue for this community. I hope that you've heard that the problems that are commonly thrown up for data centers have been solved in this case. The water rates should not go up because the water's recirculated. They're not using a lot of water. The state of Arizona is insisting that the electrical rates are not going to go up. The noise issue has been solved. It's going to bring in a lot of money for the community. $15 million a year on utility fees. That's a third of our retail tax. So that's a huge amount of money into the budget. So I hope you take that into account. I hope you vote for the people that have given you the great town that you have now, great quality of life, and that's the incumbents. That's Herb Kai, John Officer, Teri Murphy, and me, if you want to vote for me as a write-in candidate. So thank you for coming. I appreciate you coming out in this heat. Nice to see you.
Sue, you're up.
Yeah, when I was 19 years old, I joined the Army National Guard. And one of the reasons I did that was because of how much I love my country and how much I wanted to serve both my country and my state. And I did that and was honorably discharged in 2007 after I spent a year in the sandbox. That was fun. Service is something that kind of gets into you and sort of never leaves. And so I did this for a couple of reasons. First of all, I see how divided we all are. And I see some of the issues that we have that don't seem to be really addressed. I see people feeling very out of control because their government has no longer listened to them anymore. It feels like everything is just happening everywhere all at once. And I want to bridge that divide. I've got a lot of skills that I can give to this town, and I don't think I should just sit home and write the instructions for the next process plant. I think I should sit home and study what I need to do for the citizens of the town of Marana. And that's what I expect to do when I'm elected in July. Thank you.
Or January.
January.
And Julie.
I have a lot of the same feelings as the women up here. We just need to get along, and we need to work together to make a great community and listen to one another and communicate. I think that's a basic thing as a reporter. You deal with all kinds of different issues, and I would just, I'm kind of, everybody stole my thunder, I guess. I'm kind of speechless, but I just think I have a lot to offer, and I've never done anything like this. I've covered politicians on the other side. I've, done that, but this has been quite an experience, and I just think I could make a difference, and willing to work hard and willing to research and find out what I don't know, and listen to people and try to make the best decision possible, and then explain those decisions, why we came to that decision, so people all understand. So,
Thank you. So, the League of Women Voters of Southern Arizona is very pleased to have presented this forum. Thank you all for coming. We are an all-volunteer, nonpartisan organization committed to educating and assisting the public in a nonpartisan way to understand issues and candidates. We hope you're all feeling better informed and are ready to vote. So please join me in thanking our candidates for an outstanding forum.